Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Dancer speaking. I figured that what I would be doing on Fridays would be posting some videos to review the homework assignments for the week, just because I don't have a lot of time in class to be reviewing the homework with the students while I am live streaming other students, and my class period is only 35 minutes long. So that being said, I'm going to review the homework assignments for this past week. The first assignment was the Observation and Inference Color by Number worksheet. So if you were in class, you got this worksheet. What you had to do was read the statement, and then you would circle or color in what the answer is. If you were at home or learning this virtually this week and you got this assignment assigned to you virtually, all you had to do was click on the actual words. The paint bucket tool pops up, and you could pick the color and it would fill in the box if that was your correct answer. So I'm going to go through the answers with you. If you have questions, you can send me a message on Classroom, but I'm going to go through this homework and then last night's homework, which was the lab safety color by number question worksheet as well. So the first sentence says, number 1, it is autumn because the leaves have changed colors and are falling from the tree. There are 2 observations listed in this sentence. So the leaves have changed colors and are falling from the tree. Those are observations because you can actually see that happening. But what is it implying? It is inferring that it is autumn based on that statement. Because it has an implication in the sentence, something that is implying, it means that this sentence is an inference. I know that during storms at my house, a lot of times we have leaves that fall off the trees. So that sentence is not always true. 2, the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. This is going to be an observation because it is a fact. Okay, if you look at the sentence structure of the sentence, it tells you that just a straight fact. It doesn't have anything else in there with it implying anything else. So it would be a observation. The wolf is howling is an observation. You can hear a wolf howling. The liquid in the beaker is bubbling due to a chemical reaction. Well, we don't necessarily know that it's a chemical reaction. Liquid can bubble from being boiled as well on the stove. So because we don't have enough information, we don't have enough observations in there, this is going to be a inference. The octopus has 3 hearts, 9 brains, and blue blood. This would be a fact. So it is an observation. Plants must have water to survive. It says, because if you look at C, there's the must included in this sentence. This sentence doesn't have enough information for you to make it a fact. If it said plants must have water every 5 to 6 days to survive, that would be a observation. But because it says plants must have water to survive, not all plants require a lot of water. Desert plants in specific. So this is going to be an inference. The bright colored animals is most likely poisonous. Do you see how they worded this sentence where they threw the most likely in here? That means that it would be an inference. It doesn't necessarily mean that a bright colored animal is always poisonous. The giraffe is 18 feet, 5.5 meters tall. That's going to be an observation. More specifically, if you remember from the Do You Know Dancer worksheet, a quantitative observation is an observation that talks about measurement. So that would be a quantitative. There's numbers in here. The candy tastes sour is going to be another observation. Okay, because you're talking about your senses and taste. The girl is shivering, therefore, key word, she must be cold. That's going to be an inference. The increase in frequency of earthquakes means the volcano will erupt soon. Well, sometimes you can have an earthquake without a volcano erupting. If you remember from this past week, in Freehold, we actually had an earthquake, 3.1 magnitude earthquake. The owl quietly flew across the barn. Okay, that would be a observation, and that would stay white. Actually, I'm going to make it like an off gray color so that you guys can see that that's the right answer. Okay, so there it is. There's your homework review for observation and inference homework. Stay tuned. We're going to go right into the lab safety homework right after. All right, so the same kind of instructions says read each question and, oh man, I have a typo. And use the paint bucket tool to highlight the background of the correct answer. So we talked about lab safety in class, and you guys did a lab safety scavenger hunt at home. So this would be something that goes along with that. So read the question, pick the right answer. If you get injured in a lab, what should you do first? A, tell the teacher. B, go to the nurse. C, finish your experiment. Well, some injuries are not super, like if you're bleeding or something like that, you go right to the nurse. But most of the time, what you're going to do is something happens in the lab that's not supposed to happen. You tell the teacher right away, and that's the important thing. If it's something that requires you to go to the nurse or something that I feel that the nurse should come pick you up for, it is tell the teacher first, then go to the nurse. Okay, never finish your experiment if you get injured. Why is it important to never eat, drink, or chew gum in the lab? It is bad for your teeth. You might ingest harmful chemicals. It could affect the lab results. So you might ingest chemicals is your answer. Okay, you want to make sure you're never eating and drinking while we're in a lab. Safety goggles should be worn when working with what? Fire and chemicals, glassware, or both A and B. And if you picked both A and B, you are right. If you do not understand a step in the lab procedure, what should you do? Reread the lab instructions, walk across the class to talk to another table, try multiple methods until you get a result. Please reread the instructions if you don't understand something. Sometimes it's just you misread something the first time or didn't read it correctly. Reread the instructions. Then if you're still not sure, ask me for help. How should long hair be worn? Okay, we talked about that today, tied back with the rubber band or a hair tie. After completing an experiment, where should you dispose of chemicals? Down the sink, in the trash, or per teacher instruction? Some chemicals, some things that we can throw right in the garbage, some things need to be disposed properly. When working with an open flame, you should not reach over it or leave it unattended. Keep it near flammable liquids, or both A and B. Both A and B are correct answers for this one. When heating a test tube, it is important to point the tube away from others, towards your lab partner, or towards yourself. So this one would be away from others. You don't want to point it near anybody else. Paula was not careful and knocked over a beaker. She notices a small chip in the glass. What should Paula do next? Ignore the situation, finish what she was working on, and then notify the teacher or inform the teacher immediately. If you guys don't know this, so your answer is going to be inform the teacher immediately. If you were to boil something in a glass that has a crack or a chip in it, and you heat it up to a certain temperature, that glass can actually explode whatever's in the inside. It could crack. So you want to make sure you're being very careful with that. David wears eyeglasses. What does David need to do before a lab with fire and chemicals? Thoroughly clean his eyeglasses. Nothing. The eyeglasses offer enough protection. Wear safety goggles over his eyeglasses. And uncomfortable as that may be, it is for your protection. Which statement is true? Goofing around is acceptable in the lab. It is everyone's job to clean up the lab. It's okay to take home chemicals after experiment. The correct answer, it is everyone's job to clean up the lab. I like to say, I'm not your maid or I'm not your mom. Make sure you clean up after yourself in my class. And which statement is false? Performing an unauthorized experiment is allowed. Always wash your hands after experiment, or you must know where all the safety equipment is located. Do not perform any unauthorized experiments. They could be dangerous. There you have it. That is your homework review for the week. If you have any questions on either of the assignments, feel free to join a Google Meet today during your class period to help you understand. Next week, we're going to be getting fully into the live streaming and virtual Friday schedule. This Friday is more so just to kind of make sure everybody's understanding and on the same page, and kind of to catch up for those students who had trouble logging on their computers. So if you need anything from me, join the Google Meets today. If not, just complete the quick assignment, and I will see you next week. Bye.